Good morning, Dr. Webb. This is Reflect and Connect number 2 on Chapter 5 of Hammond and Gillespie titled The School Orchestra Program. The beginning of the chapter starts off with a brief history of orchestra programs, and it talks about how school orchestra programs came to fruition, what they looked like throughout the start from the first half of the 1800s to the late 1970s until now. I won't go super into detail, but just I thought that this chunk was important just because it gives you some context as to how we got to where we are today and what orchestra programs looked like throughout time. It was very brief, but just information that I feel like is essential to kind of know as an orchestra teacher. The next section is titled Values of Orchestra Programs in the School of Music Curriculum. And this section, Hammond and Gillespie talk about, why we should have string programs at all. And it talks about the benefits and supports this claim. Let's see. To start, they liken having string music to like having science class. You wouldn't teach school without math or without science. You have math, science, English. You have all of that. The same thing is applied to the study of music. You can't just teach band. You have to teach orchestra. You can't just leave it out. Furthermore, I mentioned how important it is to have a hands-on opportunity to learn some of the great masterworks and stuff like that. Just to also go through, it enhances the choral programs. You can have pit orchestras, stuff like that with orchestra. It raises the standard of the band program. You have full orchestra music that is performed, and it is also just a place where students are learning in a new and different environment. It's very social. It's very hands-on. There's a lot of different educational stuff that goes on in the orchestra room. School orchestra increases the value of a school district. I need to do some more research about this, but Hammond and Gillespie reference something called the theory of reverse economics. But it also mentions that you can have, fewer number of teachers for a larger class in orchestra. The school orchestra program also benefits students. Children are able to experience the arts. They discover talents. They enjoy themselves. They can perform. They learn to do solos. They play solo work. It can also, that feeds into their personal and creative expression. And, Hammond and Gillespie mentioned that in a increasingly technological society, playing a string instrument helps relieve stress and offers relaxation and comfort. So I think that still applies now, where when everyone's on their phone, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff, taking a break and being able to enjoy playing some music can be very relaxing. The next section is titled Strategies for Defending the School Orchestra Program, and this just comes from what you have to do to go to bat for your orchestra and being able to have some ammunition to fight back for yourself to keep the program alive. The first strategy would be to just inform and educate those in power about the values of the orchestra program. And this is pretty much just making sure that administrators are actually aware of what goes on in orchestra. So, having them sit in on rehearsals or giving them hard facts about what goes on, performing at meetings, stuff like that. And there's, about 10 things that Hammond and Gillespie list, but I'll move on. Second strategy, be a good string teacher. This applies to what I did for my Waterman's paper. One of my strategies for retention was simply be a good teacher, I'm starting to see that a lot of things that lead to success, whether it be keeping a program around or keeping students around or leading your students to success, comes from being a good teacher, and that kind of makes sense. The third strategy, identify and emulate model orchestra programs. Whether you're trying to emulate a professional orchestra or there's another district that has a really good program, try and copy it. There's a reason that they're very successful. Finally, gather data and use it fourth, gather data and use it effectively. Administrators love numbers, so being able to give them hard counts and evidence and all that sort of stuff will go a long way. Pillar 5, organize support. If you get the community and people and families behind you, it's going to go a long way. And then one of the last sections is developing community support for the orchestra program. And this section gives a bunch of strategies and how to get the community behind you, places where you can have performances, people that you should try and market to. And then one of the other sections is the school orchestra curriculum. And Hammond and Gillespie mentioned there's 2 sections. There's either the NAFME string curriculum or the ASTA curriculum. And it talks about how useful both of those are, and gives some samples and kind of recommends reading through. The biggest takeaway I got from this is kind of towards the middle of the chapter, which is defending the orchestra. Just having some initial knowledge for what I might have to do when I'm a string teacher, to get support, get funding, who knows what district I might end up in. If I really need to fight for support, that'll be tricky. Or maybe there will be a district that really loves orchestra, and that'll make my job a little bit easier. But this chapter was really useful for understanding where orchestra comes from, what purpose it serves, how to fight for it, and what you can use to teach for it. Thanks.